welcome to Roasting the World, where we offer an adversarial perspective on today's cultural issues. We do it for the intelligent culture. Introducing our host, Keenan Robinson, which is myself, and I have a special guest today. Go ahead and introduce yourself,
My name is Elijah Truitt Bay.
and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as again, my name is Elijah Truitt Bay. I'm a proud Moorish American Muslim. I'm in the Prophet's Temple. I want to give honors and praise to the Almighty Allah, and I also want to thank him for sending Prophet Noble Drew Ali to us to help uplift us, and so that we can assist to uplift fallen humanity.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we want to first welcome you to Roasting the World, and thank you for joining us today. Our topic to be roasted is politics. And I know this is one of those subjects that they say don't talk about politics, religion, and those type of things right there. But we're going there today. And we've had some other political people on here before where they talked about, how they felt about different things or whatever. But in the current political climate, it's a lot going on. You know, you had the things that happened at the beginning of the year. We have a lot of pandemic types of things happening, as well as the infrastructure bill that they're trying to push through. And, politically correct is something that is becoming less and less pertinent around here. You got, the baby being canceled for what he said, and, people just saying what they want to say because they feel empowered. So, politics today is a blood sport. So I want to get your take on how you feel the current climate is in politics and representation of people of color in those type of venues.
All right. So I want to thank you for inviting me here and allowing me to be here to speak. To answer your question about politics, the current climate, and how it is surrounding people of color. So let's address that first.
Okay.
The term people of color, because as we know that is a political term in and of itself.
In itself, right?
Because either you belong to a race of people or you belong to a color. So like,
right? Okay.
So
Talk to them. Yeah.
So yeah. So when and I understand what you mean when you say people of color. In the Moorish Science Temple, we describe hue, olive color skinned people, Asiatics, and most of us on the planet descended from Asiatic people. So in the climate, so let's move on and talk about the political climate. I kind of removed myself away from the news a few months ago. As you know, during the campaign, I was fired up. I was on fire.
Right, right. I remember.
Before the campaign, the 2020 campaign. For the first three and a half years of Trump's presidency, I was on the bandwagon. Okay. I was on the bandwagon, and like I was, he needed to get out of office. You know what I mean? And how can y'all let him? I was on the bandwagon with everybody else because I was watching what was being posted on mainstream media, and I was believing it.
Right.
But after 3.5 years, and every time you turn on the TV, that's all you hearing is hate, 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 hate. It kind of made me wonder, where is the love? So and I'm a '70s baby. I remember back in the '80s, and '90s. We was fans of Trump. Us in the Asiatic community, we was fans of Trump. He was in the WWE wrestling.
He was in the movies.
Yeah, he was in movies.
Right.
He'll get in the ring with you in the WWE. So we was fans of that. We know he was a big money man. We didn't understand capitalism at the time, or what it meant to be a capitalist, or even the definition of the word. So we weren't looking at him from that perspective. He was he was more respected in our communities.
as
Uh,
a as not being a president, but as being someone that was funny, entertaining
exactly. He's
on
always been known as
television,
he's entertainer.
but had high dollars, so that was
Yeah.
something else to look at.
Yeah.
So in that same vein, what are your thoughts on our vice president Kamala Harris?
Like I said, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. After January the 6th,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of quit watching the news. I kind of moved away from TV altogether because it just all seems like theater to me.
It is.
It,
It is looking a lot like theater, things that are put in place to get a certain reaction from
yeah,
you. Like somebody said, God bless his soul, my homeboy True. He said politics and parlor tricks. And
right.
that kind of resonated with me. But I was young and I really didn't understand what he meant until I got a little older and started really watching these political arenas and how things are happening. And I hear like a person like Mitch McConnell or something get on there and say, "Oh, we're not giving these funds, or we're gonna not filibuster or whatever they're talking about." When that's probably not what's best for the American people.
Right.
Uh, so why would you do that except to incite or except to go with the political agenda of whomever? And it's difficult to navigate those things as a regular American citizen, not even take race out of it because we're all the human race,
No,
and
that's right.
past that we're Americans. So because when we go to other countries, they don't say, "Well, you're this and you're that." They say, "Y'all Americans, we don't like y'all, or
Absolutely.
we love y'all."
Right. Right.
But as Americans, I see a lot of poor people. I see how the rules or the laws need to be adjusted and changed to be able to help people that need it the most when that wage gap is getting larger, when there are billionaires that are earning more money now. And I believe in
That's right.
capitalism, but I also believe in helping people.
That's right.
And there's just a lot of things that I'm seeing out here that I think if I, yourself, or a lot of other people were in those positions of power, we could figure out how to help some people. And then I look at the, you know, black people. I don't know exactly what the correct term, people of hue, but I look at that and I say there's enough people with money to build a new Black Wall Street, or to go buy a city, or to even when you look at ghettos, hoods around America, they say there's no money there. They drive down the cost of the property and those type of things. But then you have someone, maybe an immigrant or someone coming in. They'll buy some stuff. They'll set up a store, a laundromat, a restaurant,
Yeah.
and they're making money off our community. So how can we say there's no money there when people are making money off of that? And then we can't get those loans, or we refuse to do the work to set up a shop to do that type of work too. So my view is, if back in the day, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever it was, they took their capital and they built their own spaces.
Okay.
So why are we not doing that now at a high rate so that we can have our own banks? Because there's not a lot of black-owned banks or people of color-owned banks. Our own schools, so we can help set up our own educational system in some ways, because what's in the history books now is not true. We need to just really help the disenfranchised and people that are poor. And it doesn't have to be one complexion, but just people that are poor.
That's
and we
right.
need to get the truth out.
Right.
And I think that's something that's kind of lacking, like in the political arenas too, because there's a lot of things that are not said. There's a lot of a lot of deals getting done on the golf course. A lot of different, they got Vladimir Putin out here, and he was chummy with this person or not chummy with this person, and the wars. We just pulled the troops back from finally from Afghanistan or Iraq. I can't remember which one it was at this point, but they've been a long war, and so now that's putting them at a certain position because they don't have that help anymore from NATO or us, and it is just really setting us up, I believe, for something catastrophic to happen, and then you got the pandemic on top of all of that.
Yeah.
And they're pushing that agenda as far as the vaccination, and if you don't got it, you can't travel. It's becoming very politically charged out here. So I know I spoke a lot on that,
Yeah.
but if you got any pushback or feedback on that, that would be, something that the people might want to hear.
Yeah, that was that you spoke a lot. You spoke a mouthful. That was you touched on a lot of different topics, and all of them was important. And I think that's like, for the most part, I think what we have to do is start prioritizing. Like, and when I say that, I'm talking about communities. Communities have to prioritize,
Right.
and it's not always easy in the so-called African American communities, because when you go to other cities, like major cities, you see structure. Like,
Right.
we can use Chicago, you know what I mean, because everybody knows if you go to Chicago, you'll find a Chinatown. You know what I mean, you can find where the Chinese,
Right.
you can find where the Germans at.
Right.
I just found out recently, because my wife is European. She's from Lithuania. They got a spot in Chicago.
Right.
The Nation of Islam got a spot in Chicago.
Right.
The Moors Science People of America got a spot in
Right.
Chicago. You got Sunni Muslims in Chicago. So in those communities, you have to understand what's happening.
Okay.
You know what I mean, when we're talking about politics. So in those communities are self-sustained, self-sufficient.
Right.
They
'Cause
rely on themselves.
the dollar circulates longer.
Exactly. Before it leaves that community, it circulates so much more. Our money don't circulate much at all, especially when you think about cities like Nashville.
Less than a day.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we think about prioritizing, we have to think like, where do we begin? How is it so easy for somebody to come from another country and come over here and set up financial institutions or financial stability for their families and
Right.
and their culture,
and we're
from
falling
people
to the
from their
wayside.
culture. Exactly. So
Right.
so what's the difference? What makes them more qualified than we are, or are they more qualified than we are?
Well, I'll say this: as a person that has worked in the school system, I'll see people coming from Africa, Asia, other types of, even Guatemala or wherever, and where it says race, even though they're from Africa, it says white.
All right, let's stop right there.
It says white.
Let's stop right there. Now, how is that possible? So if black is a race and white is a race, and somebody who's melanated coming from Africa has on in their identification that they're white, how is that possible if white is a race, bro?
Well, it affords certain benefits to have that declaration than others. And that's just how
Where?
the law in America.
In America.
In America.
Oh, so are you saying that white and black in America are political terms?
They are.
Because if that's what you're saying, if
Right.
you're saying that white gives you privilege, then white is a political term used in America that offers those privileges, right?
And that term didn't even show up until the first, when they first colonized America and was taken over and things like that. And they noticed a lot of interracial things, and they said no person that is of this color can intermingle or marry, and if you do, then you can be killed or your stuff can be taken, you be enslaved or different things like that. But before that, there was no term such as that.
That's right.
There was
bro.
no
That's right,
term
bro.
such as that.
All right, so when you see
And
that,
that strictly was political.
so do you know the definition for white?
I'm listening.
So the noble prophet Drew Ali described to us the definition is white as being white means purity. Purity means God, and God means ruler of the land. See, we know this to be a fact. We know that white means God. We know that God is the ruler of the land, and we know that white means purity, and we know that purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land. We know this, but
Okay.
we also know what black means.
Right. What does black mean?
According to science, black means death. So if we know that we got white as a political term and black as a political term, these are not races, and we know that people are coming from Africa with darker hues than us, and they can claim white. They can claim white. So that lets us know that you have a choice as well, bro.
But okay, so let me take it back. Now Webster Dictionary, and that term, just like they said, black cat is bad luck. That was the term. That somebody said that.
That's politics.
That somebody said that. So now the black cat that walks in front of you, bad luck. People don't like it, but the white cat is all beautiful and great. That's ridiculous.
That's politics.
That's ridiculous because that's something that somebody told you. So now we believe it. Just like we hear that your hair is nappy, or your skin is too dark, or your lips too big, or whatever it is that we don't feel pain as much as other race, or we feel more less pain than other races, or
When you
all
say
these
us
things.
and you talk about race, what race are you talking about? What race
I'm
are
saying
we?
the ancestors of the enslaved people of America. Um, these are things that were said about that group of people. So when I see black, I see beautiful.
Hmm.
I see power. I read, I've read the Bible and Torah, Quran, different versions and different, pieces in there, maybe not the whole thing, but definitely the whole Bible. But I know Samson
Hmm.
had dreadlocks,
Right.
and his power was within his hair, and his hair was like mine.
It's like Islam.
Jesus had feet like brass. Brass is not light. You know what I'm saying? And if so, what I'm
And
saying
then when you
is
burn it,
right. So how is it that someone that has done so many atrocities and hurt so many people can think that you're pure and use that politically to gain more power unless you made it up, unless you
Islam.
created that?
Islam, and this is the thing. You said that they think it's more powerful. No, you think it's more powerful. They know the truth.
They
They
know it's more
they've
powerful.
convinced us that it's power in that. But guess what? The truth is, in America, it is power in it.
Right,
Political power.
right,
And politics trickles down to our civil life. You know,
right,
so if we know that black and white is political term, so if you can make that choice and you know that according to science, and then you got to think about it. I love my people.
right,
I love my people. We know that we've been rocked to sleep. We know that the truth
right,
has been taken from us.
right,
That's no secret.
right.
You
What
know
do
what I
you
mean?
think about Louis Farrakhan? I don't, you know,
Well, Louis Farrakhan represents the Nation of Islam. He's the ambassador, the leader, the spokesperson for the Nation of Islam at this time. Um,
some of his views I can align with, as far as nation building, being able to make your own food, get your own land, grow your people. Those things I can get with. Now, some of the other things I may not agree with, but on some of the tenets, they're right on point for what we need to do, and that will help America grow. Because I feel like if you empower the disenfranchised, the poorest people that you have, wouldn't that raise the status of your country? Wouldn't
Islam,
that make us
Islam,
better as a whole?
Islam.
You see what I'm saying?
You mentioned Louis Farrakhan, and I wanted to touch on the Nation of Islam and the origin of the Nation of Islam. Um, if you don't know much about Noble Drew Ali, Noble Drew Ali established the Moorish Science Temple in 1913.
Mm-hmm.
We've been chartered since 1925. Uh, uh, Prophet Noble Drew Ali transitioned in 1929, and a year after he transitioned, there was a guy that came forward and said that he was Noble Drew Ali reincarnated. We
Uh-huh.
we know that guy as Fard Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
According to the Nation of Islam, Fard Muhammad is Allah in person, and Elijah Muhammad is his prophet. But we have documentation that proved that before Noble Drew Ali transitioned, that they were a part of the Moorish American movement. They were also members of the Moorish American movement. And when the Noble Prophet Drew Ali passed on, uh, uh, somebody wanted to replace him. Uh, instead of bringing everything back to the temple, so a lot of people branched out and started doing their own thing. So they took the teachings Noah Drew Ali, and they and a lot of them did good with the teachings, but the teachings come from the Prophet Noah Drew Ali. Um, and you're right. I agree with you as well. We should have our own land. So that's a good teaching from the minister, Louis Farrakhan. We should have our own educational system. But what are these systems like? How do we envision these systems? Do we see huge buildings? You know, when we think about school systems and what do we think about when we think about the curriculum and what we should be teaching our kids? Because at the end of the day, we still live in America.
Right, but there are some things that are universal, like mathematics. I think we need to learn brick and mortar things, how to be an HVAC person, how to be a brick mason, how to pour cement, things that you can work with your hands, so that carpentry, so that you can make a living on your own, even if you have a felony, if you've been incarcerated, or if you don't graduate from college, you can still make a good living and take care of your family. Because that's what's broken down is our family units.
Yeah. Well, education is our worst. Education has been our worst enemy because we've been completely miseducated. So, to give you a little bit more insight about who I am, I got 6 felony convictions. I flattened a 13-year sentence in May of 2014. When I came home, the whole time, I was gone. I had plans to come home and do the right thing. Get in college. You hear the word. You can't do that. You got felonies. And, with felonies, you got these certain kind of felonies. They're not gonna give you no loan. So, I came home and I got a degree in electrical engineering. So that was a lie. You know what I mean? But when we hear, a lot of us in our community, when we hear those, we believe those and we defeat it just by hearing. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even test the water. We won't even go and see if it's true. So this just told me that we ain't going to be able to do that.
Because someone only can tell you as far as their perspective and as far as they've taken in their reality.
Exactly.
So a lot of people don't feel like you can be the next Spike Lee because they don't want to pick up a camera.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I was also told when I'm starting a bit, man, you got them felonies, man, you're not going to be able to start no business. I started my business a year after I came home. You know
Breaking
what I mean?
generational curses, man, and setting up a legacy. And that's what we're missing. We're missing legacy.
Exactly.
We're missing that historical presence, so I can say my great-grandfather, my great-grandfather's grandfather, my mama, all these people were this. And that's what put me in this pathway to carry on that legacy. And who are we really?
Right, exactly. And see, that's what's missing, bro.
Right.
How do we get back to that?
And it's political.
It's strictly political.
That you bring a person to this point so that you can hold on to that power, because the birth rate of other ethnicities is dropping or not moving forward.
That's right.
It's a lot of intermixing things because we want our line to keep going. It's like right now it's dire. But for us, we don't have that problem.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So that's why there's been a lot of feminizing of certain groups, so that we got to figure out a way to do population control. So this is the narrative that we're going to push. And politically, there have been laws that have been drafted that fit those narratives when there's still other things that have not been pushed through that affect a whole minority group of people.
That's right.
And that's political. And that.
So what do we do about that? Is there a way around?
Yeah, we set up that infrastructure. We build our own cities. We buy our own land. We invest back in our community. We educate our own children in certain ways. And I'm not saying ostracize anybody, because they can come. Right?
That's right.
But the curriculum that we're going to be teaching and talking about is about that empowerment. It's about that real. It's about that truth. It's about financial literacy. It's about wealth building. It's about community, to where we want the man and the woman to be together so that we can procreate and create that legacy and build as a unit. Versus a lot of individualism going on right now.
Yeah.
And in individualism, you only can go so far. It says if you want to go far, go alone, right? Or fast, go alone, right? But if you want to go far, you do it together. Or I don't even remember if that's right. If you got a stick, right? You chop it, it can break by itself. But you gather a bunch of sticks together, you chop it, that mug's not breaking.
That's right. That's right.
And that's what I see that we're missing right now because we're killing each other out here in the streets.
But
know?
why is that though? I mean, like
Well, I think-
for me, the simple answer is because we don't know who we are.
Right.
Like if I walk up to the average person on the streets right now, the average Asiatic person right now, and I ask them, bro, what's your race? They gonna tell me they black.
Right. That's a color.
Exactly. That's not a race, and the proof
Right.
is like this is black.
Right.
My watch is black.
Right.
I know some very, very dark people,
people.
but I've never met a black person.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But have you met a white person?
I've never met a white person.
Okay.
There are black and white people do not exist.
And you know what Richard Pryor said, I ain't going to use that type of language right now, but he said he didn't see no N-words in Africa.
Right, bro.
He saw brothers and sisters out there that looked like other people that he knew, and he didn't even think about it.
Exactly.
Because that's something that Americanized mind.
We have a
that
nationality, bro.
Yep.
We have a nationality,
So
and we don't know what our nationality is.
So we can't gain political power and start a political party
That's right.
based on that, because if we say that we're the black anything, it automatically has a negative connotation
Exactly.
to it.
According to science, black is death.
If it has any type of connotation to it, it has a negative connotation. So we have to be something totally different. And it's definitely something that we need to. I'm glad we're having a conversation because I think it's definitely something that we need to touch on more. We need to have more of these conversations and spread the word that we are trying to nation build. And when you're nation building, you're gonna have some casualties because that means you're trying to surpass somebody.
That's
that
right.
means you're trying to do something. And every time that you try to do something, guess what? Somebody want to keep their foot in your neck. They want to take what you build and make it their own. Just
That's
like
right.
when people invented things back in the day, now it's under somebody else's patent and saying, oh, they built this. Even though they didn't, but they had the power to take. Just like eminent domain on whatever it is that you do. So make sure you do it strategically and smart, and you build the right people. You get your copyrights and all those type of things in place. But we need to do something. Because right now, our women are getting married at a rate of, 1 in 4? And that means that a lot of guys and women I know would rather have babies than be married. And
Right.
that means that you're going to grow up in a house that's split.
That's right.
That means you're not going to have the masculine and feminine energy in there that you need.
That's right.
And not taking anything away from any other of the groups that's out here, but we are in a dire situation, so that's what I'm focusing on. And we can say, everybody's free to do whatever they want, believe what they want, love who they want, but I'm saying as far as me and my house, we are focusing on trying to uplift the disenfranchised, the people that are poor, the people that have lost their identity, that have been miseducated, and that really need to be helped.
And see, that's what we do in the Moorish Science Temple of America. We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. You know what I mean? We reminding them of what their nationality is and giving them something to stand on and raising them up from 3/5 to a whole human.
Right.
Because you got to find out. You got to find out what them why were we ever labeled 3/5? What make? Because you got to understand the reason why they able to do what they do to us in the streets and go home at night, because we are no matter whether or not the Constitution says it, we are still not we, but those who consider themselves black, Negro, African American, Ethiopian are considered 3/5. So like where's those other 2/5? What are we missing? What are our people missing?
That's our God power, man. That's our mental, our third eye, because it's it's a lot of right. But that's
And when we figure that out, it'll be so much easier for us to come together.
Right.
It'll be so much easier for us to
take a leadership position where we're supposed to be.
Exactly, or a follower position, following the leader, so that we can be good leaders at some point.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so like when we understand who we are, we understand where the infrastructure gonna come from. Like we everything that we have is already, everything that we need is already in place. We just don't know it. That's the reason why we looking for it.
Right, because we already got it.
We already have
it.
Got it. And the more Science Temple give you a better understanding of what that means.
All right. Well, I know. We're getting close to time to end this, and what we do at the end of every show, we give each participant what we call roast time, where you get to roast or toast the topic. If you toast it, then that means that you agree with it and you need more of that. If you roast it, then that means we trying to do away with it. So I'm gonna give you about a minute of roast time where you get to say, talk to the camera, talk to the people in the audience, talk to the people watching the podcast, and remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and go ahead and utilize your time, good brother, to tell whatever your message is.
So, right. So again, the biggest problem that we have in the Asiatic community, the so-called black community, and I and I say so-called black until you understand what I'm saying, but because black is not a race, and we are a race of people. We need to understand what our race is. What was taken from us was taken from us politically. You know what I mean? Slavery was political. So our freedom is also in politics. We need to understand our laws, need to know our laws, and we have to be careful who we vote for, because you just can't vote for some or cute face or somebody who was rolling with somebody that you thought had some swag or whatever. That ain't how your vote should be cast. Like, as a community, like when you cast your vote, you should have your family and your community in mind. You know what I mean? Which one of these candidates or which one of these group of candidates going if I vote for them, how's my family or my community gonna benefit from my vote? And we were talking about earlier about how Chicago is set up with these different communities. And we can do the same thing here in Nashville. In fact, Temple 33, we actually working on something like that. We trying to get Temple 33 of the Moore Science Center of America right here in Nashville. We also got a study group in Clarksville, but we also working on getting our temple something like a bookstore where you can come and get Moorish products like Moorish soap, Moorish shampoos, Moorish toothpaste, Moorish water, Moorish clothing, Islamic clothing, turbans and stuff like that, where you can actually come in, throughout the day, to get more information or to buy products.
Shout out your business.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that way you don't forget that.
Yeah, so just look for us. Look for us, the Moore Science Center of America, Temple number 33 in Nashville, Tennessee, and also look for Elijah's Place, which actually.
It's up to you, Ryan.
I'm actually in the process. It's in my mind, but I made moves already to convert the CBD store into a bookstore or clothing store. That's set up for people to come in and get more knowledge or education about the Moorish Science Temple of America and actually buy Moorish products. So that's what I'm moving on. But the moving company gonna remain. And the moving company is True Bay Services. You can find me on Facebook at True Bay Services 615. My name Elijah Truett Bay. You can find me also at Elijah Truett Bay. We do packing. We do moving. We do pickup and deliveries. We do house moves, office moves, corporate moves. We licensed and insured. We do out of town moves. We have our authorities to cross state lines, MC number, US dot number, and we open, we working. So give us a call at 615-601-1167. We can definitely use your business. And like I was just explaining to him, I'm trying to transition from Elijah's Place, Hemp and More, into a place where you can come and buy Moorish material and Moorish attire. But in the meantime, everything in the store is on sale because I got to get it out of there so that I can actually do the transition. So you can stop by Elijah's Place, and it's 215A South Main Street, and that's in Goodlettsville, Tennessee, 37072.
All right. Well, guys, there you have it. Until next time, stay ready so you don't got to get ready. And we will see you next time for another exciting episode of Roasting the World. Peace.
Peace and love.